Mosukaba, Monta Praska Bokaboso, Monte Kama Soprekeba, Mantokabalaba, Lepraka Tokaba, Leprako Supredabaya, Montokonomo Sukaba, Lantokababa, Mandekaro Suprekeba, Lepraka Baba, Leparaba, Book of Daniel. Montolo Zebra Kemalaba Mantondes Kebaya Barosondaba. Daniel chapter 4 Kaboskea Mankros Kelabaya. Daniel chapter 4 Kalabasuka. Something is going on in the air. Lamon Dekis Koprate Kebalamo Shikemando. Some resistances are being removed. Some resistances are being removed. Oh, some resistances are being removed. Some resistances are being removed. Some resistances are being removed. Monkale sopreke. Some resistances in the air are being removed. Daniel chapter 4. Maloke prakisto predina maya kugre skale mantoki mahaki skopro. I prakata kabaya. Borakasata kabaya. Balena yakaba. I shakaba. From verse 17. He said this decision. Let me tell you something. God has an administration. God has an administration to his church. But he also has an administration to the world. For example, it's like you are maybe the mayor of an area, but you have a house. So to the area, you have an administration to the area, but to your home, you also have an administration to your home. You don't run your home the way you run the area. So God's administration to his church is different, where he can instill his holiness and his virtue. For example, there you can see priesthood. There you can see tabernacle. You can see, all those things. But the mayor of the area also has a structure he works with. And as a mayor, he also have maybe different divisions on who is taking care of what. You see? And when it comes to the administration as a mayor, you don't need to be his family member. But when it comes to the home, anything that's going on there, you have to be a family member. So God's administration to his church is different from his administration to the world. So when it comes to the world, there are some people who will be called servants of God who are not necessarily the family of God. So the Bible talks about Nebuchadnezzar. God called Nebuchadnezzar my servant. God called Cyrus, who was a heathen king, my servant. You see, but they were not necessarily Jews. But he called Nebuchadnezzar my servant. So for men to rise, for men to become significant, all right, the administrative structure that God uses to make somebody king I'm using the area of the mayor as an example. What God used to bring that person out, for the person to come out as somebody, it is an administration. Is like there's a board that sits on it. Now, I want you to understand, every administrative structure you see in the world was gotten from God. Men will not have the wisdom to have it if God never has it. So there's a board that sits on it. So sometimes some people don't know that their matter comes up to the board. So there are some people who become president not because they are born again. They enter into certain places and positions in society not because they are anything. It's because the board sat on it. So you will see something here, verse 16, Daniel chapter 4, verse 16. Melushikate lode. He said, now the board that sat to make Nebuchadnezzar king, because Nebuchadnezzar's kingship was not just for Babylon. He was ruler of the world at the time. If you want to understand it very well, you have to know Daniel's vision of the image. So now, because that is still God's administration, when Nebuchadnezzar's heart was lifted, the board sat on it. Nebuchadnezzar didn't know that it was this board. I'll tell you the name of the board. Nebuchadnezzar didn't know that it was this board that instilled him. He didn't know that the board was what put him in power. So now he became proud. Then This is what the board said. He said, let his heart be changed from man's, and let a beast's heart be given unto him, and let 7 times pass over him. That means 7 years. Verse 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers. That's the board. You see, you're not seeing that. You're not saying this matter is by the decree of God. Even though it is by God. So, for example, if you go to a company and the board makes a decision, it is the CEO who has made a decision. So he said, this matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones. These are the 2 boards. These 2, they are types of angels. The decree of the watchers. These watchers, they don't necessarily administer to God's church like that, even though sometimes they make some interventions. There are certain kind of angels that administrate the church, but I'm talking about the world in general. So if a Christian will, in the family of God, will have a voice or a say in the administrative structure of the world in terms of leadership and kingship and greatness, this board will have to determine it. So he said, this matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones. Watchers and the holy ones, they are different kind of angels. He said, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men. The Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basest of men. He set up over it the basest of men. This is the Spirit of God's word to you today. God is taking the basest of men and setting up into strategic places in the city, strategic places in the society. He said, this matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he wills, and setteth up over it the bases of men. Kole moka pakaya, sobrekato kalabaya, sobrekete pakaya, sekofaka parola sote. Sakratake pakova, saprakofakaba tepraka, saprakopaka patopade, saprakapa, saprakapa sapa, sapratapa, kakopa sapa, rapapa, 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 rapolapo, rapalopa, rapalapa, 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 la palapa, la palapa, la palapalaba, rapalaba baskaba, rapalaba bashaba, rapalaba balaba, rapalaba balaba, rapalaba balaba, rapalaba balaba, rapalaba balaba, rapalaba balaba, rapaya balaba, yeah, 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 yeah.